In this video, we continue our discussion of rational functions. We're looking at multiplication and division. So again, the basic idea for these comes from the same rules as we used for fractions. So let's say that we've got 3/4 times 5/8. So if we want to multiply fractions, we multiply across the top and we multiply across the bottom. So that would give us 15 over 32, and we don't have any factors that would reduce here. You can also see that over here, looking for from top to bottom if there's anything that would reduce, and there's not. Okay, and then we could also do something like 3/4 times 16 over 24. Okay, now we could attack this the same way. We could multiply top and bottom, or we can look for things to simplify before we start. Okay, so remember, anything, because they're going to end up like this, anything on top can cancel with anything on the bottom. All right, so you could look to see if 4 cancels with anything. It doesn't cancel with the 3, but 4 does cancel with 16, and we're left with 4. 16 is 4 times 4. And then look here to see if anything cancels. 4 and 24 cancel. 4 goes into 24 6 times. Okay, and then look to see if anything else cancels. The 3 and the 6 cancel. 3 goes into 6. When you have nothing left, you're left with a 1 and 2. So there's nothing left on top. That means we're left with a 1. And then on the bottom, we're left with just a 2. So that whole thing canceled down to 1/2. Now, with fractions, you could multiply and then simplify. But with rational expressions and rational functions, you really don't want to multiply first because you're going to end up with something that's a lot more difficult to deal with. So you want to simplify, then multiply. All right, let's look at an example. So let's say that we've got x minus 3 over x plus 4 times x plus 4 over x minus 5. Okay, now top to bottom, these don't simplify. Remember, they have to match exactly. X minus 3 and x minus 3 and x plus 4 don't match. X plus 4 and x minus 5 don't match. But we can also simplify anything top to bottom. So x minus 3, x minus 5 don't match, but x plus 4 do. Okay, this is all multiplication and division. If you want to, you can put parentheses around them like this to remind yourself. Okay, the x plus 4 factors match, and we're left with x minus 3 over x minus 5. All right, let's look at another one. Let's say we've got x squared plus 3x over x squared minus 9 times x plus 2 over x squared plus 5x. Okay, so we're going to multiply top and bottom, but again, we don't want to multiply first because we're going to end up with something that's very difficult to deal with. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to factor, simplify, then multiply. So let's get everything factored. So here we've got a common factor. We can take out an x, and we're left with x plus 3 on the top here. The bottom factors is difference of 2 squares, so we can factor x plus 3, x minus 3. And then on the right fraction, we've got x plus 2 over, and then again, we've got a common factor of x, x plus 5. Okay, so now we look for any factors on the top that can cancel with any factors on the bottom. All right, so remember they have to match exactly. So x can't cancel with x plus 3 because they don't match exactly, but x can cancel with another x. So I can cancel this x with this x. Okay, x can only cancel with another x that's by itself. X plus 3 matches, so I can cancel those. Okay, nothing else matches, so I'm left with x plus 2 over x minus 3, x plus 5. I'm going to go ahead and leave that denominator factored because in the end we want to factor and make sure that nothing else matches, so this is good. Okay, so that's the basic idea for multiplication. You want to simplify, so you're going to factor, simplify, and then multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom. Okay, let's look at division. Okay, so division is actually the same as multiplication. Remember that division is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, and that's always true. It just doesn't always help us much. So division is always the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. For rational functions, this version of it is going to help us a lot. So let's say, let's look at numbers first. So let's say that we've got 3/4 times 5/7. I'm sorry, divided. We're doing division now. Okay, we've got 3/4 divided by 5/7. So what we want to do is we want to change this to multiplying by the reciprocal. So the first one stays the same. We change it to multiplication, and then the reciprocal flips the second one. Okay, so we change it to multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, and once you do that, then you do everything the same as what we just talked about at the start of this video. So you're going to look for anything that reduces. Okay, nothing reduces. So we're going to multiply straight across the top, and we're going to multiply straight across the bottom. We get 21/20. They don't have anything in common, which we knew because they didn't reduce over here. Okay, so same idea for rational functions. We're going to change it to multiplying by the reciprocal. So let's say that we've got x squared plus 4x over x squared minus 16. And we're going to divide by give me 1 second, I'm making sure we have factors that match. X squared minus 2x plus 2x plus minus 8. There we go. And let's say we've got x minus 4. Okay. So the things that we need to do here, we need to change this to multiplying by the reciprocal. We need to look for things that cancel, and then we need to do multiplication. Now, my recommendation would be first, change it to multiplying by the reciprocal, because if you factor here, you might be tempted to cancel things that don't actually cancel. You cannot cancel in the division step because, look, when we flip it, those things are not, see if I try to cancel like 3 and 7, look what happens when I change it to multiplication. They're on the same side, you can't really cancel them. So I would not, for this one, I would not factor first. I would flip it first. That way you're not tempted to do anything that you shouldn't do. Okay, so we leave the first fraction alone, and we change it to multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, now we're in multiplication. Now we want to factor and look for things that simplify. Okay, so let's go ahead and factor everything. The first one's got a common factor. We take out an x. On the bottom, we've got difference of two squares. So we've got x plus 4, x minus 4. All right, and then over here, we've got x minus 4. Oops, I don't need parentheses around that. And then on the bottom, we need factors of 8. That would give us 2. So 4 and 2 should work. So we've got x plus 4, x minus 2. They multiply to be -8, and they add to be +2. Okay, so now we're going to look for things to cancel. So we see x minus 4, x minus 4. Okay, top and bottom, those cancel. Now we've got a few x plus 4s here. I only have one on top to cancel. It doesn't matter which one you cancel with, if you do the one on the left or the one on the right, but it can only cancel with one. It can't cancel with both because there's only one of them. So I could cancel here, or I could cancel here. Either way is fine, but I can only cancel one of them. Okay, so we canceled all the x plus 4, x minus 4s on top. We're left with x by itself. It can only cancel with another x by itself, and we don't have anything else to cancel it with. So now we multiply across the top. We're just left with x. And then on the bottom, we've got x plus 4, x minus 2. Okay, double check, make sure that nothing else factors, nothing else cancels, and we are all set. Okay, so again, change to multiplying by the reciprocal. Then you're going to factor and cancel. Okay, that's right here. And then final step is that you're actually going to multiply. Okay, so those are the steps for division.